Recently I made this little printer stand for my home office, and I used box joints on the corners. They're fairly simple to make at the table saw with the dado blade or at the router table with the straight bit. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit more about them. Box joints are made up of rows of pins and slots like these in a matching pattern. And you can make box joints in a wide range of sizes to suit any diameter of straight router bit or any stacked dado blade width. The parts mesh together with very close tolerance. And all this surface area around the pins and slots provides a tremendous amount of surface area for glue. And that makes box joints super strong. And that was one reason why I used them on this little printer stand. There's nothing else supporting these little legs, so I wanted the corner joints to be strong. But a second reason I use box joints is pretty obvious just by looking at the project. This repeating interplay of face grain and end grain makes for really eye-catching geometry. I think box joints are as attractive as they are strong. Now there are lots of different jigs on the market for making box joints, but for this little project, I decided to use the simplest, least expensive option. It's just a scrap plywood fence attached to my table saw's miter gauge with a pin installed in it. This style of jig has been around forever. This pin fits into a dado that I cut into the jig's fence. And I screwed the pin in place, but for jigs with narrower pins than this, you can just glue it in place instead. For a simple box joint jig like this, the width of the pin sets up the pattern of the joint. Now my pin is just a little bit under 1/2 inch wide, so it cuts only one style of box joint with pins and slots that match this width. So let's go over to the table saw and I'll show you how I set it up for use. Here's what's absolutely critical about any box joint machining process, regardless of the style of jig you use or the machine you use to make the joints. The width of the cutter must exactly match the width of the pin, and the pin must be spaced exactly one pin's width away from the cutter. In other words, this equals this equals this. That relationship is everything when it comes to box joints. If the three widths don't match, the joint will either be too tight to fit together or too loose for a proper glue up. To make the setup process easier, I'm going to use this little spacer. It's made from the same piece of plywood as the jig's pin, so I know their widths match. Rockler's precision miter gauge, which I'm using here, also helps make setting up box joints like this easier. Its aluminum fence can be unlocked with two knobs so it'll slide right or left. So, with the fence unlocked, I could set the spacer against the dado blade, slide the jig's pin up against it, and tighten the miter gauge fence knobs again. My walnut stock for this shelf project was 3/4 inch thick, so I raised the dado blade to 3/4 inch. Another aspect of box joints is balancing the joint across the width of the project, and here's what I mean. You should try to size the width of your project so that 1/2 of the joint will have a full pin on each end, not a pin and a slot. That way, the other half of the joint will have slots on both ends. On any box joint you cut, you'll start with this pin board. Whenever you're cutting box joints, it's important to start in scrap stock first so you can be sure your setup is dialed in accurately. So, that's what we're going to do with these 2 walnut pieces I have left over from my project. To cut the joint, I set the edge of my first test board against the side of the jig pin, start the saw, and make the first slot cut, holding the workpiece securely against the jig fence. Then, that slot is fitted over the jig pin, which indexes the second slot cut. I simply repeat the process, shifting the workpiece's slots over the pin to cut subsequent pins and slots. Well, that's it for the first half of the joint. Now onto the second half. This time, I take the pin-edged board and flip it around to its opposite face, setting the first slot over the pin again. Then, I place the edge of the second board against the edge of the first to index the first slot cut and push the jig through the blade. Once that slot is cut, the first board is removed from the jig, the second board slot is pressed against the jig pin, and I can cut the second board's first pin. I repeat the slot cutting process across this workpiece. Well, let's see how the joint fits together. That's a good fit. The joints mesh together snugly, but I don't really have to force it. If these were parts for an actual project, they'd be ready for glue. Now, if your test joint is either too loose or too tight, meaning the parts fit together so loosely that it's sloppy, or they're so tight that you have to pound them together, something's not right related to the space between the cutter and the jig's pin, or the width of the cutter. Those are really your two variables, because remember, the width of the cutter, the spacing between the cutter and the jig's pin, and the width of the pin all have to match exactly. Before I sign off here, I want to leave you with a couple of box joint making tips, and here's the first one. If you have to add shims between the blades of your dado set to get just the right width for your jig pin, don't forget which shims and blades those are. This is the combination of shims and blades I needed for this box joint jig. So, I've labeled all the parts with letters or numbers using permanent markers. Jot down those components of the dado blade directly onto your box joint jig. It'll save you a lot of trial and error next time, so you can shuffle the correct combination together when you need to make this joint again. And here's another tip. Don't lose your spacer. It's an essential part of setting up the jig. But if you tape or rubber band it to the jig, eventually it's going to fall off. So that's why I've got my spacer attached to the jig with a pocket screw. Won't get lost this way. Box joints are a sturdy and attractive solution for many kinds of projects, and they're not hard to make with a simple jig. When the time comes for you to make them, I hope you'll find this video helpful. I'm Chris Marshall with Woodworkers Journal Magazine in Rockler, and thanks for watching.